ever thought about like what fuels you, like what really fuels you, like what energizes you, what doesn't? I just recently had a conversation with someone and it like really has changed my thought process on things, and I want to talk about that a little bit today. Hold on. Alright, so one of the interesting things that we had a conversation about when we talked recently is what kind of stuff energizes me. It's easy for me to think that because I like people and I like conversation with people, that's just naturally what energizes me. And what I kind of am realizing lately is there are certain things that really energize me. There are other things that really like deplete my energy. So the big thing he challenged me with is he said, when you are fully depleted of your energy, when you have no energy left, what gets you in a good mood? And that's the trigger that you really need to think about that can help you actually get back into the mindset that you want to be in. We don't come to the Starbucks as often as we used to because, well, we're more productive than we used to be. But I do love these people. Lehigh Street Starbucks in Allentown, they used to be our main Starbucks. They're just nice people. I like nice people. It was interesting because when he brought up that topic of kind of like what fuels me, what energizes me, the things that I kind of, as I started to think about it more, like what really energizes me and what doesn't, it actually was kind of surprising to me that some of the things that I kind of thought were giving me energy as I thought about them were actually not. They were things that I would do out of having energy, but they wouldn't be the things that actually brought me energy. And that's where there's a big difference. In the conversation I had with him, it was just so important to realize that like I forget how he worded it because he worded it so much better than I did, but he talked about how the fact that when you really know what energizes you, you start to really understand how often you need to do whatever that is to make sure that you stay energized, stay creative. You don't always realize that sometimes you're burnt out with what you're doing, and there are things you can do to kind of re-energize you and get you kind of excited again and more creative again, but you really have to kind of own and understand what those things are that get you the creativity that you need. So many people look for creativity by just sitting at a computer and just hoping that more creativity comes to them, and they feel burnt out with editing, whatever it is. And I'm starting to realize just how important it is to actually understand when I hit this point of creativity block, let's call it, what do I need to do that gets me back into it? For me, it's consuming some other YouTube videos, other wedding films, whatever it is I'm working on. It also tied in so good to the podcast that I had with him as well, because what we talked about there, if you hadn't listened to that already, is the fact that I think it's super important to realize if there's certain things that absolutely like cripple your creativity or make you just really feel like not doing work, maybe you need to delegate some of those things to people who thrive more in those environments and really focus on the things that you do well and the things that energize you, because nobody is going to release a good product on something that they don't actually even enjoy doing. I'm a firm believer in going hard into what you do well and not trying to necessarily fix your weaknesses. I think there's a line of being lazy versus just not necessarily being the best at something. So go hard on the things that you actually do well. Another interesting thing that he brought up was the importance of actually not only knowing what energizes you and what you need to do to be re-energized, but helping people around you, the people closest to you, to also understand the importance of knowing what those things are. Because you see, if you're on a cycle, let's say, where every month you really need to get away for 1 or 2 days, or maybe a day, or maybe just a lunch break, and be in silence and not answer emails and not have responsibilities, not have certain things, if you need a certain replenishment cycle on certain things, it's important that the people around you know what those things are and know the importance of giving you those things to help you replenish and re-energize yourself. I never really think about that much when it comes to employees that are working for me, or even my wife or family, that there's certain times that you just aren't necessarily in a great mood, that you don't want to necessarily talk to people like you normally do, and it's important that if I let the people around me know, hey, my cycle is that every 6 weeks weeks or every 8 weeks, I need to just clear some things off my calendar. I need to get away. I need to have a day off. I need to do this or do that. Helping them understand what those things are that trigger re-energizing is really important to let them know, because when we are re-energized, when we are re-excited about what we're doing, it helps us be better at everything that we're doing, not just our work, but our relationships, our situations, everything around us is made better when we are in a good state. So for me, I've really been spending this last couple of weeks since we had this conversation just really thinking about those things, really thinking about what is it that actually energizes me and gets me excited. And when I discover what those things are, I want to really dig into those and pour into those heavily, because I now realize after the conversation just how important it actually is. But I challenge you to think about that as well. I think when you're in any sort of creative field, or especially any sort of field that you do kind of the same thing consistently, let's say you always shoot weddings, or you always do commercial work, or you always do YouTube videos, whatever it is, it's easy to get in this non-stop cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. And if none of those things actually energize you, you may find yourself at these crossroads where you feel like, man, I'm just in a huge creative block and I don't know how to get out of it. I'm in a slump. And maybe it's because sometimes you let your work overtake just the importance of doing the other things outside of your work that actually energize you. You may be a person that does video editing for a living, and you may be someone that doesn't even like working out at all, but yet your body, by taking a 30-minute walk, may be very re-energized by being able to just process and be silent and think about your thoughts and think about situations. And I just really encourage you to think about those things. So I'm finding myself kind of looking at situations when I feel really energized, really positive, really in a good mood that day, and really thinking about, okay, what did I just do recently that got me into this mentality? And then whatever that was, how can I make sure I keep doing that? Sometimes it might just be a conversation with a certain person. Sometimes it may be watching something. Sometimes it may be listening to something. Really trying to just process and listen to my brain and listen to how I'm kind of thinking about things. When I'm in those good moods, jotting down notes, what energized me. When I'm feeling really down and out, think about what kind of brought me to that moment. And the more and more that we can really process and think about those things, I think it'll help us in a huge way to create better and to just be a better person overall, be in a better mood, be more creative, be more willing to help others, whatever it is. Knowing yourself is so important. I'm trying to do that better, and I hope you are as well.